going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope everyone's doing phenomenal tonight. Hope you guys have had a great Wednesday. Hope you guys are ready for another live 2024 fantasy football draft. Hopping into an Underdog best ball mania tonight. Only so much time left to draft our 2024 fantasy football squads. A week from tomorrow, we will have NFL kickoff between the Chiefs and the Ravens. It's going to be a beautiful season, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we need to continue to draft as many beautiful squads for the upcoming season as possible. So you guys know what to do. Hop in the live chat. Any fantasy football questions that you guys have. It could be redraft. It could be dynasty. It could be best ball. It could be an auction league, a super flex league. 8 teams, 12 teams, 14 teams, 16 teams, 10 teams. If you guys already drafted, are you drafting this weekend? Are you guys looking at trades, waiver wires? Are you already looking at the waiver wire? You might be. Kickers, defenses. Some of you guys still use them. Whatever it may be, hop in the live chat. We're going to have some fun tonight. We are going to talk some fantasy football per usual. All right. If you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy and you want to draft with me, promo code the catch will get you a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Link is in the description. I'm going to be entering the Best Ball Mania lobby at 10:52 p.m. It's 10:52 Eastern time. Okay. And it now is 10:52. So I am entering in 3, 2, 1. I'm in the lobby and the draft is full. So nonetheless, if you guys aren't drafting, ask me some fantasy football questions. Let's have some fantasy football discussion tonight. Okay. Got some drama today. We've got drama, ladies and gentlemen, because, you know, as we've had all off season long, we've got some back and forth here between some of the top tier wide receivers. Today, our drama is Jamar Chase. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't 100% know like what's even going on with Jamar Chase. I mean, nobody really does in general, but initially the reports with Chase were that, you know, if he wasn't going to be playing, it was going to be due to a contract dispute and a holdout. And then now we have these reports coming from Zach Taylor that Jamar Chase is considered day-to-day with an injury. So he is uncertain for week 1. Is that, am I understanding that right? Or maybe he doesn't even have an injury. He's just considered day-to-day because he is holding out. Okay, now that's what I'm reading. All right, let me make this draft pick. I feel like I'm just drafting Tyreek Hill every draft lately, which I guess is okay, but Tyreek Hill still dealing with an injury too. So yeah, in terms of Chase, it is just a contract holdout. Okay, my mistake. The way I read that day to day, to me, I was thinking all day that Jamar Chase had some sort of injury pop up. So we'll find out what happens with Jamar Chase, but I don't think he's going to get a contract, but I still don't really feel like Jamar Chase is going to hold out, but we're a week away here. It's not good. And then on the other hand, you know I said top tier wide receivers, but you know, however you want to look at Brandon Ayuk, he might not be in that top tier of Chase and JJ and Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, whatever. But Ayuk is still a second-round draft pick if he's not dealing with, his own holdout. So he is still not in attendance at practice. So both of these situations don't look great. I have my panic level on Chase and Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb. For each of these guys, it's been pretty low. But now the clock is really, really ticking. And if you're the Niners, you still got Trent Williams holding out too, which, maybe for fantasy, the more immediate impact's Brandon Ayuk, but Trent Williams, probably the bigger impact to the Niners in general in terms of that offense. I mean, he is easily their best offensive lineman. And I still think if Trent Williams is not playing, that is huge for the Niners offense. I mean, whether it's Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, it's still definitely going to impact the Niners offense. So those are the two big things of the day. Other than that, we got like different cuts, signings that probably aren't going to matter. We do have Russell Wilson named as the week 1 starter for the Steelers, which does not surprise me. I think if you have been drafting Fields like in best ball, that's probably still okay. There's definitely still a shot that he's going to get some snaps as the season goes on. But I do think for like George Pickens immediately, this is a good thing. When we saw what was really able to unfold for Cortland Sutton last year, I think you could get something similar for George Pickens this year. So dangerous, back in action. The Chiefs signed Samaje Perine as well. Man, I don't want to do. I don't think I've done this in a single draft, but I'm going to do it. Just give me Hill and Waddle, and I had best draft Tua in this same draft. Or I mean, I don't know who else would be interested. Maybe the A-Chain owner, but man, we better land Tua. So Samaje Perine added the Chiefs. Doesn't really feel like anything crazy to me. Dalvin Cook did sign with the Cowboys. I don't remember if that happened before or after last night's stream, but Rico Dowdle believers, is it time to panic? Probably not. Probably not. But maybe. All right. I will go Devonta Smith here all day long. All right, so let me know what you guys think about Ayuk, about Chase. Where's your panic level at? And let's talk some fantasy football. McDouble, good to see you. Hello, hello. Always good to have you in the house. Dom, what's up? Just drafted tonight. How did the team turn out? Jay Fitness thought on my 10-team PPR start 7. You got Mahomes, Pacheco, Stevenson, Lamb, London, Ayuk, Kincaid, Godwin, Javonte, Worthy, Dunze, Zeke, J-Mo. Is this a dynasty team? Or just a redraft team? I think these are just redraft teams, right? Sometimes when people say start 7, it can refer to redraft, but sometimes it exclusively refers to redraft teams. But I'm going to go ahead and assume this is redraft. Okay. I see it at the bottom of the chat. Thank you. Mahomes, Pacheco, Stevenson, Lamb, London, Ayuk, Kincaid. You're in a great spot here. This is a really good team. Even for a 10-teamer, you're still in a very good spot. I am getting a little worried about Stevenson. Like, I've liked Stevenson throughout the offseason, but he's starting to worry me just a little bit. Just not Stevenson himself, but just I am getting more worried about the Patriots offense as a whole. But he's going to get every touch. I'm not worried about Gibson at all. I think Stevenson is purely the truth, workhorse running back there. But Your wide receivers are great. Like, I think having Ayuk on this team, if you're worried about that situation, is fine because you have Lamb in London, then you have Xavier Worthy as a flex option. I still like Jameson Williams late as a good flex option too. Running backs, I still think are fine. You've got great quarterback, great tight end. And I like Godwin a lot. I'm sorry, also as a bench option there too. And Roma Dunze for that matter. So, you're a little thin at running back. Like, I'm not really in on Zeke. He's probably fine. Where you drafted him, it's probably fine, right? And I do like Javonte. Kind of similar situation to Stevenson. Like, I don't like the offense still, but I've liked Javonte all off season. So, yeah, I mean, running back's probably your weakest link, but you can definitely get by with everything else you've got going here. So this is a good team. And I mean, at least you have Pacheco, right? Dom ended up with Allen, Gibby, Brown, Najee, Puka, Debo, Kirk, Ferguson, Moss, Sutton, Hollywood, Chuba, Warren. I mean, good team. And this was this a 12? This is 10-team half PPR. Nice. I mean, you got Josh Allen, so probably feeling good there. Ferguson, I don't think I've come out of a single draft with Ferguson. It's been like Ferguson was the guy I wanted to draft this year. And he just has not. I've not been in position to draft Ferguson. I think maybe I drafted him in one league. I'd have to go back and check. But I'm a little sad about that, to be honest. I'm going to go Mahomes. This might be my last best ball draft of the year. I'm going to go Mahomes. And then I'm going to take Xavier Worthy. He better be there. If not, I'll just take Kincaid. Or excuse me, Kincaid. I'm looking at the screen. Kincaid's on my other screen. I'll just take Hollywood later. We'll find out. But yeah, I still think Ferguson is just going to be such a stud this year. I mean, I was talking about Ferguson like in May, like as my guy. And like I said, I think I only came out of one draft with him, but there's still time. I got a couple drafts left. So, all right, there's my boy. Come to the team. So yeah, half PPR, Allen. Let's see your starting lineup. Allen, Gibbs, Najee. It's fine. AJ Brown, Puka, flexing Debo. If it's a double flex, you're flexing Kirk. I don't dislike any names that you drafted here. I mean, you got both Steelers running backs. I'm okay with that. I'm sure Zach Moss was a fine value where you got him. I'm sure Chuba Hubbard was a fine value where you got him. I like Sutton and Hollywood on the bench. Whether it's single or double flex, I think you're in a good spot. Typically in half PPR, maybe I want a little bit more running back depth here, but I'm fine with this team. Touchdown upside's high for AJ Brown. I still think it's fine for Puka. Definitely up there for Debo, so you're in a good spot. All right, J Fitness's second team, 12-team, full PPR. Burrow, CMC, HA, Nico, Devonta, Kirk, McBride. In a 12-teamer, your starting lineup is very good. Got Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd, Dobbs on the bench, wide receiver. I'm okay with that. Chase Brown, Chuba, Jordan Mason, Chubb. This is a solid team. I'd feel very good about this team. For a 12-team league, I'd feel very good. Burrow, CMC, HA, Nico, Devonta, and McBride is a very, very solid starting lineup. I know Kirk's been banged up, so like that has worried me a little bit, but I still love Kirk in the flex. You got, Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, both in good positions. I still love Dobbs as a bench flex option. Good bench running backs, Chase Brown and Chuba. Good handcuff and Jordan Mason. And I guess Chase Brown's a handcuff, but you know. And then you got Chubb on the IR. This is a solid team, man. Yeah, I feel good. Good drafting, guys. Gavin, what's up, my guy? Andrea, hello. Good to see you guys. Albert, hello, hello. Gavin asked CD or Tyreek. I have found myself drafting Tyreek more, but I still really like. I mean, it's still 1A, 1B. I have still drafted CD over Tyreek and vice versa. I wonder on Underdog what my exposures are. I'm going to pull them up, see who. Although we've had so much fluctuation throughout the offseason. Start with Lamb. He's at 5.4%. I think Hill's higher. Hill's at 9.9. So I guess I like Hill more. I mean, I do truly, really like both players. All right, give me I'm going to reach for Evan Ingram. I mean, it's not really a reach. He's the next tight end up. I guess I could have waited, gone Jake Ferguson since I was just talking about him. I'm going to try and get Hollywood here. This is going to be a really weird team. I'm deep into the 0 RB territory here, and I just realized that Dolphins have the same bye week as the Chiefs, so I might not be planning too well here, but it's a fun team nonetheless. I think the ceiling is still higher for Tyreek, but if you prefer Lamb, I'm definitely okay with that. It's you could just go back and forth here all day long. Love both. Dom says his was a double flex. So you got Allen Gibbs, Najee, Brown, Puka, Debo, Kirk, Fergie, Sutton, Hollywood on the bench. I mean, all those teams look very good, guys. Carlos, what's up, my guy? Rate my team. What we got here? Burrow, A-Chain, Kyron, Mostert, Corum, Gus Bus, Dobbins. Okay. This is full PPR 10 teams. Waddle, Deontay, London, Higgins, Worthy, McBride, and Likely. Definitely not bad. Definitely not bad here. It's going to be starting Burrow, A-Chain, Kyron. Really nice bench running backs there. Starting Waddle and Deontay and London. Or you could go Waddle, London, Higgins. And with the Jamar Chase situation right now, I want, where did Higgins go tonight? I wonder if he's going to start moving out. He goes at pick 42. I mean, that's still about the same territory that he goes. So I'd feel good right now if you are an owner of Higgins. But yeah, this is a good team. I mean, I probably in full PPR prefer more depth at wide receiver over running back, but sometimes these things happen. I mean, you've got the Dolphins backfield locked up. You got the Chargers basically locked up here. But good starting lineup for sure. Burrow, McBride, A-Chain, Kyron, Waddle, London, flexing Higgins, and yeah, I mean, very solid team. Andrea's got Ayuk in one league. I think I've got him in two now. No Chase. I don't think I've chased in any leagues either. Just haven't been in position to draft him. It's hyped to get Allen the fourth. Realize he does not have a true wide receiver one, but Allen's still fantasy monster. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to have a wide receiver one. Oh, we're mainly drafting him for that rushing upside. So yeah, I mean, I still would feel good about that. Would you trade Gibbs, Diggs, and Fant for Laporta and Ford? No. I mean, only other tight end is Hawkinson. I'm win now. It's tight end premium. Is this a Dynasty league, I'm assuming? Got another offer for Pickens for Freiermuth in a second. I mean, I like that more, but I also don't really like that. I mean, dang, the snipe. The Zamir White snipe. We're going to get frisky out here. I really want to draft Cortland Sutton. Just give me Tony Pollard. You're swapping like Gibbs and Laporta, two premium assets at their positions. Letting go of Diggs. I mean, that's the thing that I feel like you should be able to get some sort of value back here, because you're still giving, like, yeah, Diggs is not as valuable in Dynasty, and people might be coming off him, and he, the target share goes down now in the offense he's in, but it's like he's still a top 10 wide receiver last year in full PPR. Still tied to a great quarterback for now. So I don't know that I like this trade. If you could get something in, because you could look at Ford versus Fant, Laporta versus Gibbs, but then where does the value for Diggs really come in? Just because it's tight end premium and they're arguing that Laporta, I mean, I get it, but then the second one, you're just giving up too much for a tight end. I mean, if you're a win now, so instead of just giving up an asset just to give up an asset, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and stream tight end. I'm in that position in a dynasty league right now. It's like, unless you can come to terms with a fair trade offer, I just don't think I'd do either of these trades. I don't think they're fair trades for you. Orac, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Can't wait for the season to start as well. It's going to be a great year. J Fitness, 10 team, 2 flex, Lamar, Monty, Mostert, Hill, Puka, DJ Moore, Olave. Wow. Pitts. Zeke, Chuba, Zamir, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Palmer, Jonathan Brooks on IR. This is a solid team. Definitely a solid squad here. They're starting Lamar, Monty, and Mostert, which I'm okay with. I like both those guys. I know some people are a little bit lower on them, but I like both those guys. Hill and Puka, good. You're flexing DJ Moore. You're flexing Olave. Man, those wide receivers are loaded, which, if it's full PPR, I'm going to assume it is. You have such an advantage there. Even if your running backs are at a little bit of a lower tier, this was a good team to go and do that with. You got Pitts at tight end. Chuba and Zamir on the bench, I think, is great. You get Jonathan Brooks down the stretch. Makes the Chuba pick more valuable as well. Palmer and Brian Thomas, good bench options. Very solid team. Wide receiver value here is crazy. Great quarterback. Great tight end. Looks good. Carlos also got Jonathan Wright. I was kind of wondering. It's like he's the only one missing. Orac for a 6-point quarterback TD league. Is it worth it to go QB in round 1 or 2? Who would you pick for 8 or for QB? I'm drafting number 7, number and 12. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I mean, actually, really in a 6-point passing touchdown league for quarterbacks, it makes things more even. Like it makes more sense to go later at quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong; those quarterbacks that throw for touchdowns and rush for touchdowns add value, but guys who kind of just throw for touchdowns, guys like Trevor Lawrence, right, Brock Purdy, even like a CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, Mahomes, even. I mean, Mahomes might not be a good example, but like Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, like their value increases and then it evens out with players like Anthony Richardson, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, who are going to be rushing for more. You know what I mean? So I don't think that you necessarily have to feel like you need to draft a quarterback early. I'm itching to make trades in leagues, but forgot the season hasn't started. Yeah. I know this happens with a lot of you guys. It happens in leagues that I'm in. See it in the catch leagues. People like want to make trades right away. And generally my advice is like, don't start making trades right away. I mean, you just don't need to, you drafted your team for a reason. There's going to be plenty of players that emerge on the waiver wire. I very rarely see a team where I'm like, you absolutely need to make this trade right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every now and then you're just going to get a trade offer your way that's too good to pass up. But for the most part, it's like things are going to be okay. You don't need to panic and automatically jump into trades right away. So, man, Gus Edwards better have a good season because I have drafted so much Gus Edwards. Andrew, have a good night. Chase, what's up, man? Don't mean to make you repeat yourself, but what the heck do we do with Chase and Ayuk? Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing that we can do is just sit back and let it happen. If you've already drafted one of these two players, then, I mean, you kind of already knew that there was some risk, right? My belief mainly has been like, don't panic here, go ahead and draft these guys at their value. But, if you have already drafted either player, you just kind of have to accept the situation. If they're going to miss time, they're going to miss time. I don't really personally feel like they're going to hold out because neither of these guys really have any leverage right now. It just doesn't really benefit either player to hold out. So I still don't really see this happening. I don't, but we'll just have to sit back and see. I mean, I think the big thing here is like if you're going into a draft and you're sitting at the 1.4, for example, and you've been planning on taking Jamar Chase, it's like, well, what do I do now? Or what if you're drafting from the 1.5 and the guy drafting from the 1.4 took Amon-Ra and C-Mac, Lamb, Hill are all gone? And now you're at the 1.5 and Chase is there and you're like, I guess I have to take him, right? What if you're drafting and you're at the 3.2 and Brandon Ayuk's on the board? You're at the 2.8 and Ayuk's on the board and you pass on him. Then he comes back to you in the third round. Like at what point is it you just don't pass on these guys? I think it's kind of similar. The way you have to look at this is like you look at a player like Jahmyr Gibbs. When you see people passing on Jahmyr Gibbs, or Puka Nacua, which I think at this time people are much more comfortable with those two guys. But if either of those players misses time early, they're still at a point the best players on the board, and you're still drafting them for their overall ceiling. And as long as you're getting players at their ceiling for a majority of the season, then your draft pick's not wasted. Jamar Chase, if he holds out for 2 weeks, might still be more valuable than the next 3 players taken ahead of him. Brandon Ayuk, if he holds out for 2 weeks, might still be more valuable through the whole season than the next couple of players ahead of him. So it can definitely put a wrench in your draft analysis, your draft strategy, but I wouldn't let it completely ruin your day, If you already have drafted either player, it's just like you just accept what it is and sit back. But yeah, the clock is ticking. It is making me a little bit more worried than I had been in more recent weeks. Need an end of bench stash for full PPR. Who should I pick up? Dobbins, Mason, Lloyd. I would pick up Jordan Mason right now. I think Dobbins is okay. I think Marshawn Lloyd is okay. I think Lloyd's my least favorite because he has been banged up recently, But yeah, I would probably get Jordan Mason as probably the handcuff that I like right now. Thoughts on Thielen this year? Yeah, I think Adam Thielen at his ADP is okay. I still think we're all just fully expecting, and myself included, Deontay Johnson to take over all those targets, which he's going to get most of them. I don't want to undermine the fact that Thielen and Bryce Young had a really good chemistry last year. And yes, Xavier Leggett's going to probably get involved here too. So I think that is, and Adam Thielen's old, but I still think you'll see some decent weeks out of Thielen this year. I'm not going to say much anything more than that. But I still think you'll get some decent weeks out of him. I like him in best ball drafts, for example. I do think in best ball, he's worth selecting at his given ADP. I'm not going to go out of my way to draft him in redraft, but maybe if you just had one of those drafts where you just feel really, really weak at the position, then maybe. But do I draft Kirk Cousins? Let's go. I have to go Cousins. I was about to go Stafford, but he has the same bye week as Mahomes and Tua, which is the only reason I'm drafting a quarterback. So yeah, I think Thielen, I'm probably not going to really try and draft, but I don't think he's going to be completely discredited from this offense. Thoughts on Downs, who I almost just drafted right there too. Yeah, Downs is a player that I will still take even in redraft. We know he's going to miss some time, right? I don't think he's going to play week 1. We'll see week 2 or 3. He's going to miss time. But I still, training camp was going so well for Josh Downs. The biggest thing with Josh Downs is it's helped AD Mitchell's stock, and AD Mitchell has, shown up. So, kudos to him scoring a touchdown in preseason, which maybe he did if Downs wasn't or was playing anyways. But yeah, I like Downs and full PPR. I still think he's worth taking at his given ADP. But you just have to determine that, the thing with Downs is you're going to draft him. You're not going to play him week 1, but you can't put him on IR. He's going to be questionable. So He's kind of got to factor that into your draft as well. But I do like him, yeah. Ayuk fell to me round 3 last night. Felt compared to take him. Same exact situation that I was into. Yeah. Just tough to pass on. Tough to pass on. Had Hill. This was a keeper league, so running backs were super thin. So I had Hill, Rashad White, Ayuk were my first 3 picks. And I agree. It's just hard when you're in a full PPR league, you know. Different situation when people were scared of JT last year and Josh Jacobs for part of the offseason and Barkley for part of the offseason. All those situations, purely in terms of the contract, turned out fine. Chunk, what are your thoughts on Michael Wilson this year? He used to go undrafted, but lately he's been going in the 11th and 12th rounds. Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at things right now, he is the wide receiver 2 for the Cardinals. And he's probably the 3rd pass catcher because our boy Trey McBride is going to be the 2nd pass catcher. But I like Michael Wilson. I mean, he showed some flashes last year. And obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be in front of him. And you now have Hollywood gone. And then you've got Zay Jones suspended. So you're looking at guys like Chris Moore, Zach Pascal, Greg Dortch. Probably not going to be real threats here. Maybe Greg the Torch Dortch shows up. I don't know. He's done some things in his life in the league. But yeah, I think Michael Wilson is the most likely candidate. Coming off of a decent rookie campaign, he played in 13 games, had 38 receptions, 565 receiving yards, 14.8 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. I think he is the candidate to be a player if this offense is rolling at times to definitely be a factor. So if you believe in Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, I think that there's plenty of reason to believe in Michael Wilson. I think a lot of times towards the end of the drafts, you're looking at guys like you want to identify those wide receiver 2s that have value, whether it's a Michael Wilson. We just talked about Josh Downs. Guys like that, Darnell Mooney, that have maybe get a little bit pushed under the radar, but still have value, right? So, yeah, I do like him. All right, got to figure out my draft picks here. I was hoping Ray Davis is going to fall there. I'm going to pick Dotson just to correlate to Devonta Smith. I still need another tight end. I just get to a point in these drafts, even if I'm thin at running back, where I just stop taking running backs. I feel like you're just still taking a dart throw. A lot of quarterbacks gone these last couple of rounds. I'm starting to like drafting Isaiah Likely if I feel good about my tight end 1. Steven, what's going on? Got Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Hill, London, flexes Marvin Harrison Jr., Walker, and Javonte. Not bad at all. How did you end up with those 3 wide receivers? I've seen in some leagues that Drake London will fall to like the 4th. On some sites, his ADP is very different. So I guess that's probably what happened, unless it was a keeper league. You probably went Hill, Marvin Harrison Jr., and London in the 3rd. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Javonte as a RB2. I like Kenneth Walker a lot this year. Jaden Daniels, you're probably going to want to have another quarterback around, whether it's Stafford or Rodgers or T-Law or Goff, just somebody, because, I do like Jaden Daniels, but at the end of the day, he's still an unknown. And on top of that, he probably holds some risk of injury. So I think in every league I have Jaden Daniels, I've drafted a second quarterback or picked up a quarterback on the waiver. So be my only note here. This is your bench. Cooper, Kirk, Deontay, Ford, Chase. How many teams in this league? Nonetheless, you look very good. Trey McBride's your tight end. So Daniels, Hill, London, McBride, MH Jr., Walker, and Javonte. I mean, yeah, your team looks very good. You can even start Jerome Ford over Javonte, arguably. Team looks very good. Very nice wide receiver depth. You're in a good spot. Rate my 12-man full PPR. What's up, Dylan? Burrow, Gibbs, Mixon, Chase, Waddle, Neighbors. Mandrews looks pretty good to me. I mean, I'm not really high on Neighbors, but I'm okay if he's your wide receiver 3. I mean, I'm high on Neighbors. I'm not high on his situation or Daniel Jones. But Burrow, Gibbs, Mixon, Chase, Waddle, Neighbors, Andrews is a perfectly fine starting lineup. Just pay attention to whatever's going on with Andrews. I think he's going to play week 1, but yeah, I'm okay with Mixon as an RB2. I love Gibbs, Burrow. I mean, I guess pay attention to Chase, but you should be fine here. What are your thoughts on my team full PPR? We got AR, JJ, DJ, Barkley, Pollard, Laporta, Rice. I love that starting lineup. Got Godwin, Chase Brown, Ladd, Coleman, Palmer, Brooks on the bench. Not bad at all. Once again, AR, similar thoughts to Jaden Daniels, where I prefer to have that second quarterback handy. But you're starting Richardson, JJ, DJ, Barkley, Pollard, Laporta, and Rice. Very nice. Very nice. I still think Pollard is going to be volatile, but I do think he's fine here. Every other player in your starting lineup, though, I really, really like. Godwin, Chase Brown, Ladd, Coleman, Palmer, Jonathan Brooks on the IR. Not bad at all. Not bad. Do you remember, because it's been a minute, but I declined that Patty x Kelsey trade. Definitely don't remember. Wants to send Patty, Kelsey, Rice, and Pickens for Hurts, Kincaid, Ayuk, and Waddle. Oh, gosh. Hold on. Let me make these draft picks real quick. Definitely a lot to break down here. I don't quite know that I would recommend doing this trade, though. Am I going to get my boy Demarcus Robinson? How many draft picks do I have? 3? Okay. Oh, come on. The auto pick. The auto pick. Demarcus Robinson snipe. 10 spots against ADP. I mean, this honestly was probably a blessing anyways, because we need some running back depth here. So give me Justice Hill. You're definitely seeing a lot more interesting selection. Man, Carson Steele has moved up in ADP pretty drastically. You know what? It's Carson Steele season. Let's draft him. Let's draft him. I probably maybe could have waited, but let's draft him, and then we're going to try and get I was about to draft Jordan Whittingham over Steele or Dameon Pierce, but I've drafted so much Dameon Pierce this year. So much. I'm going to go Darius Slayton with that last pick. Got to get a wide receiver at the last pick. This is a weird team, but I like this. So sending Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, and Pickens for Hurts, Kincaid, Ayuk, and Waddle. I mean, I just don't think this trade. Like, I think you could still like win a championship with either sides of this. I think you could still contend next year. I think you could rebuild around either side. I don't think this trade like just does anything that like impacts your roster super positively. I mean, I will say like if the rest of your team is like you can win the ship this year, then you can take the Patty side. But it's like Mahomes versus Hurts. Like we're looking at like a one ranking difference. Kincaid versus Kelsey. Like what? I mean, most people are probably going Laporta. Well, it kind of depends on how you view your dynasty rankings, but let's just say for the sake of argument, Laporta, Kelsey, McBride, Kincaid. Some people might have Kelsey lower in dynasty, but still, like, I mean, for this coming season, like, Ayuk versus Rice. I mean, I guess I think you could argue either side right now. I think if the Ayuk situation wasn't going on, though, it'd easily be Ayuk. And then Pickens versus Waddle. I think most people would say Waddle, but I think it's still close. I mean, I'd rather have Waddle, but I think, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. I just don't. I hate trades like this. I do, because it's just like, what is this really accomplishing for either side? You know what I mean? Sober money. I am Mahomes to a car. Ayuk, Evans, Pickens, Diggs, Polk, Samuel, Palmer, Gibbs, Pollard, Javante, Hawk, Fant, Henry, Gesicki. Have all my picks. What direction would you go with the team? The Superflex, Mahomes, Tua, Ayuk, Evans, Pickens, flexing Diggs, flexing Palmer, starting Gibbs, starting Pollard, Frankensteining tight end. I mean, you're kind of in a position to win now. If you're not going to try and win right now, then you're kind of in a position where you need to start selling some tickets. I just try and contest as much as possible, though. I try to win. Doug, this draft 25. Best Ball Mania 25. Give me a Washington player. Zabby, 12 team, half PPR, last to pick a quarterback. Got Chase, Gibbs, A-Chain, Debo, McBride, Ayuk. 6 points per touchdown. Got Goff and Stafford late. How much do I need to panic about Chase and Ayuk? Yeah. I mean, it definitely doesn't feel great if those are the two quarterbacks that, two primary wide receivers that you drafted, especially did so in recent days. But let's just kind of hold our horses here. Try not to panic too much. I just the logistics here don't make a lot of sense for these guys to hold out, but we'll see. Rest of the team looks solid though, and don't worry about the late round quarterbacks; those guys are fine. Who should I keep? JJ in the first or Kyron? I would keep Kyron. I mean, if you want JJ in the first, it depends on where. Thing is, like, like the only. I mean, I like in a keeper league, if you have the 1.9 through the 1.12, sure, like I guess you can keep JJ. But I would rather just take Kyron in the 7th and go into my draft knowing I already have my RB1 and I got him at a fantastic value. That's how I generally look at keeper leagues. I don't really like, I think if you're drafted from the 1.12 and like you want to secure JJ like that's fine, because if you were just going to draft Puka or MH there anyways, it's like, well, then you just replace one of those two guys with JJ and then you're starting with a great value. But like, yeah, I would just keep Kyron and just draft Blake Corum too. Would you pick up another RB or tight end with the 2025 first? I mean, honestly, in your situation, I would go tight end. I try to get like Ingram or Ferguson would be the two that come to mind right away that I would be willing right now, if I win now, to trade a first for. I mean, obviously guys like McBride, Kincaid, Andrews, Pitts, Kelsey Laporta, but you're probably not going to be able to get those guys with just one draft pick. I think if you can look at Ingram, Kittle, Ferguson, it's fine. You can throw in Njoku in the mix, but I probably wouldn't trade a first for Njoku. I'd probably tear down a bit there. Brendan, AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson? I do really like Garrett Wilson this year. Do not get me wrong. I am very much in on Garrett Wilson, but for me, it's still AJ Brown. I've said all off season long that AJ Brown, for me, the end of the day, okay, is in that same tier of Chase, JJ, Amon-Ra. Like the tier does not break there for me. AJ Brown's still in that tier. Then it breaks to Garrett Wilson, MH Jr., Puka, so forth, so on. But yeah, AJ Brown, you know, the last 2 years has been phenomenal in fantasy football. Some people like early in the offseason, like AJ Brown wasn't good last year. I'm like, what are you talking about? People said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. I'm like, yeah, the offense teetered off towards the end of the year, but they were not bad in fantasy. You know, week 18 was bad, okay? And they were trash in the playoffs. I get it. But AJ Brown has been the wide receiver 5 and the wide receiver 6 in the last 2 years. Jalen Hurts been the QB2 and the QB3, you know. AJ Brown was on a historic pace to start last year, you know. And even when the offense kind of teetered down in the second half of the season, he was still fine. You know, had a bad week 11 performance. Had a bad week 17 performance. That's it. Week 18 doesn't matter to us. We play fantasy here. So 3 single-digit fantasy performances last year, double digits every other game. Like I said, wide receiver 5. So we had just under 1,500 receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. It's kind of hard to compare him to a lot of the other guys in the top tier, but you know, that's 3 less receiving touchdowns than Amon-Ra and like a difference of 35 receiving yards. So yeah, I still go AJ Brown, but I do like Garrett Wilson a lot this year. My 7th pick, he could fall to me. Yeah, he could. Kind of depends on who you're drafting with. But yeah, I just look at the value when I'm in a keeper league. Later pick is what I prefer. And yeah, if you're worried about Kyron, if you're worried about the situation there, punt returns, whatever, just draft Blake Corum. It's pretty attainable in drafts right now. So, all right, guys. So there's final look at the team for the night. This might be my last Best Ball Mania of the year. So I try to make it a little bit fun. We got Mahomes stacked with Carson Steele, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown. We've got Tua with Hill and Waddle. We got Kirk Cousins, just because we need a third quarterback because the Chiefs and the Dolphins have the same bye week. Pollard, B-Rob, Gus Bus, Chuba, Justice Hill, and like I said, it's Carson Steele season. There's our running backs. 0 RB team here. Hill, Waddle, Devonta, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood, Jahan Dotson, Dewami Brown, all at wide receiver. And Evan Engram and Isaiah Likely at tight end. This is a fun entry. This is a fun, maybe final team. Had Hurts, CMC, Hall, Brown, Chase, Kittle last year. Traded for a super team, 12-2, but lost first round in the 8th seed. Horrible luck. Yeah, I mean, the fantasy playoffs were weird last year. Amari Cooper and George Pickens were like the most valuable players to have in the playoffs. Breece Hall was up there, though. but not until week 16. Yeah, week 16, he had 43. Week 17, he had 27. Week 15, he had 2. 2. Definitely bad luck. But that's the way the cookie crumbles in this awful game of fantasy that we all love to play. Have a good night, Chase. All right, guys, hit the like on the way out. Kind of taking it easy this week before we hop into next week. The content will be pumping out again. Videos, shorts, live streams. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We have a full schedule coming up for the regular season. So it's going to be fun. Be a lot of content. We're going to do everything we can to help you guys win week in and week out and get to the playoffs and win your championships. Take home that trophy, take home the money, whatever it is. Doug, Best Ball Mania's $25 entry. As always. All right, man. Love you guys. Love the community. Love the catch fam. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And peace.